Hello, hello, hello. I am Joy Onyeso, your host of the Friday Night Hangout. I am delighted to formally welcome you to our first season, season 6. Yay! This is our first season in the year 2022. Friday Night Hangout is a community of like-minded individuals who are willing to give themselves the permission to play full out by learning, unlearning, and relearning skills, strategies, and attitudes required to live a life of unlimited abundance, both in their personal and professional lives. This season, we would start off with conversations on repositioning yourself for growth, understanding value leading relationship that takes you to the next level. And we will also be talking about breaking bias for gender and development. I want you to come fully loaded on board into this season. So invite your family, your friends, your loved ones. Come, let us learn and celebrate ourselves in this first season of the year, episode 81 of our season 6. Now, if you want to change the results you've been getting over the years, you have to change the way you do things. And in this season, we are giving you that opportunity to learn new strategies and skills. I look forward to engaging with you every Friday night at 7 p.m. West African time on YouTube, LinkedIn, and Facebook. Make it a date with me. You wouldn't regret being part of this tribe. See you on the next episode of Friday Night Hangout. Woo! Good evening. Happy Friday. Thank God it's Friday. Good evening. I am Joy Onyeso, your host of the Friday Night Hangout. I am super excited to see you all tonight and welcome to the very first Friday in the month of March, a month where we are marching forward to break all bias. Oh my goodness, welcome, 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 welcome. And if this is your first time of joining us in this show, I say a very big welcome to you. This is a Friday night hangout where we have motivational conversations on topical issues. We improve our skill sets here. And above all, this is a safe space where we network, we learn together, we relearn, we unlearn. This is where a lot of stuff gets to happen. And it's also a fun stuff. So I see you all. Welcome, Honorable Goodnachi. Welcome, Princess. Welcome, Madam Adenike. Welcome, my darling sister Stella, all the way from Connecticut, USA. So glad to have you here. Welcome, 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 welcome. You know, I'm happy and I'm sad at the same time. Yeah, it may seem very paradisical. How can I be happy and sad? Well, I'm happy because this is the International Women's Month. This is a new month in the year 2022. This is a new opportunity for us to achieve our goals. And this month we get to have conversations on breaking the bias. But at the same time, I'm sad because I don't know how many of us have watched what happened at the National Assembly, and we saw that all the gender bills did not sail through. We're going to be talking about those gender bills and the 5-point demand from Nigerian women to National Assembly. We're going to talk about them today. And throughout the month of March, we're going to be talking about how we can break the bias. We're going to be looking at the reality of our climate, Nigeria, and for us to look at how we can be involved. You're involved, I'm involved. How can we create a difference? How can we make change happen? So if you're just joining in, welcome, welcome, welcome. It's always a pleasure to be with you here every Friday to have these conversations. And like I would always say, it's a dialogue. Please do put your comments, your feedback, your questions on the chat box, and we will deal with it together. Okay, great. Princess said, I watched it or I wept. So we're going to be talking about two things. But before we go into really discussing about the 5 point demand from Nigerian women to National Assembly, I want to start from the basis to set the tone for our conversation in the month of March. Because this month of March, we're going to be talking about breaking the bias. Now, what does bias mean? Bias, in very simple terms, mean when you have an inclination to feel favorable towards something or someone, or when you have that inclination to be prejudiced or to be discriminatory against someone or something. Now, how can we break that bias? That's what we are going to be talking about this month of March. And one of the bias we're going to be looking at is the gender bias. We're going to be looking at the gender bias. And I want to start by really celebrating my sisters, the sheroes who have occupied the National Assembly in the last 2 days, making a demand, remaining non-negotiable about our demand, what Nigerian women want from the Nigerian Assembly, asking them to pass the bill, the gender bills. This is a time where we need all voices to be on the table. Now, some of us may say, what's my business? I'm not concerned. Tonight, we're going to have a conversation on why you should be concerned, on how it affects you and I, on how it affects the generations yet unborn, on the difference it makes in our lives as Nigerian women. If you're a Nigerian woman listening to me or watching this program, you cannot afford to remain disconnected from the conversation. This is a time where we all need to have this conversation. This is a time where we all need to make sure that our voices are heard loud and clear. So tonight I'm going to be talking about some of the issues, and we have the whole of month of March to discuss the issues in deeper perspective. But I'm going to put the 5 point demand on the table tonight. And if you have opinion, if you have experiences, if you know of strategies or approaches you think we should use, please put it in the comment box. If you even have questions or you need clarity on some issues, please put it in the chat box. Tonight, we're going to be having very frank conversation on why Nigerian women matter, on how the country cannot develop without considering the rights and the issues of women. Nigeria cannot develop sustainably without putting the rights of women at the center of its development efforts. And so this month, which is the Women's Month, we're going to be looking at the social, political, economic, and cultural achievements of women, and we're going to be celebrating it throughout this month of March. But very specifically, 8th of March is what we refer to globally as the International Women's Day. It's a day that is set aside all over the world to celebrate the achievements of women in the different endeavors, economic endeavors, social, political, and all of that. It's also a day where we call action and demand that there be accelerated action for gender equality. So all over the world this is happening. Nigeria is not excluded. Now, I would come back to the conversation on bias, and then we will talk about gender bias, and we'll look at the 5 point demand of Nigerian women to National Assembly, and then we'll wrap up the conversation for tonight. But this is a continuous conversation all through the month of March. So I encourage you not to miss any bit of this conversation. It's really going to be very interesting. And we're going to be having two women that will come up on separate weeks to have this conversation. Why are we interested in breaking the bias? Why do we need to break the gender bias? So please do stay tuned with me for the rest of the month of March, and most especially today. Don't touch your dial. Now, I know network is an issue, but please stay tuned. Let's remain resilient. And of course, I want to see your comments in the chat box. Okay. Now, remember, I started off by telling us in very simple terms what bias is. So now when we talk about gender bias, we're going to be looking at discrimination or favor on the gender. Remember that gender is not sex. Gender is socially constructed roles. in a society, it is very fluid. So when you talk about male or female, then you're talking about sex. But when you're looking at this, the socially constructed roles in the society, then you refer to gender. And gender is dynamic. What this means is in Nigeria, even in Nigeria, so some parts of Igbo land, we might say, okay, it's a woman's role to pound yam. And in some other community, they'll say, oh, it's a man's role to pound yam. So you can see that it differs from community to community. It's very fluid. It's not fixed. It is fluid and it changes over time. So I see sometimes we interchange the words gender and sex, and that's why I'm taking time to explain this. So you know that gender refers to socially constructed roles, okay? While sex refers to your biological body, your body presentation, you know. So let's get those two, let's understand those two before we go into the conversation. Why is it important to break bias? Now, before we answer that why, let's look at what has been happening in Nigeria in the last couple of days. I don't know how many of us watched it. Personally, I was so sad. Princess said she watched it and she wept. As a Nigerian woman, I am totally disappointed in National Assembly for failing to understand the importance of women's rights in Nigeria. Now, what are the issues at stake? Let me start from the first demand because Nigerian women have a 5-point demand. The first one is the citizenship rights of the spouses of Nigerian women. What do we mean by this? Now, currently, what happens is, as a Nigerian man, if a Nigerian man decides to marry a woman from, say, Ghana, from Cote d'Ivoire, from America, from Sweden, any part of the world he decides to marry a wife from, and he decides he doesn't want to marry a Nigerian woman, once he legally marries her, automatically the woman becomes a Nigerian citizen. Automatically she becomes a Nigerian citizen. Now, if a Nigerian woman, on the other hand, decides that she has found love outside the shores of Nigeria, what it means once she legally marries the man is she cannot, by the reason of her marriage to the man, confer automatic citizenship to her husband. So I hope you are understanding the issue, because sometimes I see a lot of ignorant conversation going on. We say, oh, feminist, gender this one, gender. You need to understand the issues before you label, before you disregard, before you know, disconnect yourself from the conversation. If perhaps you're married and you feel it doesn't affect you, what about your children? You have sisters, you have daughters. Supposing your daughter decides she finds love, that she has found love outside the shores of Nigeria, have you thought about what will happen to her husband and to her children? So it means that what is good for the goose is not good for the gander in this instance. So Nigerian women are left like that. You decide to marry a non-Nigerian, you're on your own, or your is your own. How equal is that? So most times when you hear the conversation on equality of opportunities, this is what we are talking about. Let's not get it twisted. Let's not misunderstand what the issues are. So tonight we're going to be talking about the concrete issues, and I do hope that we will get informed and will get inspired to take action by creating awareness, by joining in efforts, by speaking out and not keeping silent. So that's the first demand of Nigerian women to the NAS. We're saying that we have a right to confer citizenship on our husbands. You cannot deny us that right. It is unfair, it is unjust, it is inhuman to do that to Nigerian women. Now, the second demand, Honorable Gonachi said, it's so sad that at this stage of our development, Nigerian men have failed to recognize women's contributions to the development of this nation. We will not settle. We'll keep pushing. We're not going to take this line down. We'll keep pushing. So some of us don't know this conversation. That's why today we are dedicating tonight to having conversation on the 5-point demand of Nigerian women to the National Assembly. The second point demand is that of indigenship. As an indigene of Anambra State, you know how it is. Some of you have experienced this. Those of you who are not in civil service, you may not experience this very deeply until something happens. And then you get married to someone from perhaps Plateau or from Benue. You would automatically think that, okay, because you're married to him, you have that right to say this is where you're from. But no, they will tell you that you're not from Benue, you're not from Imo, you're not from Anambra, you're not from Abia. In fact, I remember some years back, the civil service in Abia State told the women that all the women who are married to non-Abians should go back to their state. And then when you go back to the state of your husband, where you're married to, they'll tell you, no, this is not your state. Go, you've married, go back. There's no space for you here. So even within your state, your country, as a married woman, once you get married, you become stateless. They will push you here, they'll push you there, as if you're not a human being. And this is what Nigerian women are fighting for. I want us to understand the issue. We have that right to determine where we're from. We can say we want to remain an Anambarian, or you want to be an Abian, you want to be from Plateau, you want to, as long as it's either your birth or your marriage state. We have that right. We should have that right. But no, it's not so in Nigeria. Once you become married, you become stateless. You're neither here nor there. Your people say, we've married you off. Now go to your husband's place. You can't come and take our quota. This quota is reserved for our men. We can't give it to you. You go to your husband's place, they will now remind you that they married you into the state. You're not from there. And so they cannot give you the quota reserved for the men in the state. It's really so sad. And a lot of women are going through this pain. Most times they face this discrimination when it's at the peak of their career. And they're saying, you know how we do the federal character appointments? And then you've worked so hard. You've invested a lot in your husband's state, and they tell you, oh, you're not from here. So this is really sad, and we're asking that they do us right. We be done right. We're asking the Nigerian men, the NAS, we need everyone to speak up. This is a collective issue. We're all affected. The third point agenda we're asking for, our demand, is 35% affirmative action in political appointments. Do you want to tell me that Nigerian women have not contributed to the development of Nigeria? Let's look at the different sectors. We see how hard Nigerian women are working, how they've distinguished themselves, created impact in different sectors in Nigeria. And yet, we're not giving that recognition. We're not giving that recognition. When they decide to share the post, they just do tokenism. And when I say they, I'm talking about the political leadership and the men. Tokenism. Bring one woman, you see 10 with this. Even when committees are being set up, you see a committee, a 10-member committee, you have 1 or 2 women on board. All we're saying is that effectiveness is not determined by sex. It's determined by the individual capacity. So being an expert you don't derive it by virtue of being a man or being a woman. It's your individual competence that we need to look at. Look at the country. You see how the country is going. Look at how the country is going. The truth is, I always like to use this analogy. Have you ever seen a bird? In my native language, we call it no, bird that flies. Have you ever seen a bird flying and soaring on one wing? I have not. If you have, please let me know. I haven't seen a bird soaring on one wing. A bird will fly and soar on 2 wings. And that's how sustainable development is. You cannot develop by excluding half of your population. It's not possible. And so until Nigeria gets to the point where we recognize that the rights of women are human rights, we recognize that men and women are complementary partners in development, and we stop disenfranchising women, it's going to be difficult for Nigeria to progress. it's really going to be so difficult for Nigeria to progress. Madam Adenike says the issue is really sad for Nigerian women. We need to come together and fight for our rights. Yes. And that's why we need to speak up. And this is one of the beauty of the International Women's Month March, because it gives us the opportunity to articulate issues and, escalate our voices, make our issues known, take action. And at the beginning of the show, I said it's really sad. I feel so sad because few days to International Women's Day, few days, our National Assembly decided to disenfranchise Nigerian women and tell us that we do not matter in Nigeria. And we said, no, we do matter. Our voices will count. We will push back. We'll keep pushing back until the rights of women are the center of development issues. So that's the third demand, that we have 35. Can you see how, how accommodating and how reasonable we are? We're asking for 35%. Is that too much to give to Nigerian women? If you give us 35%, you still have 65% to deal with. So what is so difficult in giving Nigerian women 35% of appointed position in Nigeria? What is so difficult? What is so difficult in giving us the fourth demand, the 35% in leadership, political leadership and ministerial appointments? What is so difficult in doing that? 35%. Out of 100%, you cannot give Nigerian women 35%. You cannot give your daughters, your sisters, your mothers an opportunity to show the value. How? It's so baffling, honestly. It's really so baffling. And that's why you see, when we talk about patriarchy as a system of subjugation, when you talk about systems that suppress, oh my goodness, information is really very key. When you look around the world and you see countries that are doing so well, that have high development indices, I want you to take a look at the rights of women in those countries. Look at the rights of women in those countries. You will see the difference. Women have equal opportunity. I see in Nigeria, we play to the gallery. We leave the very concrete issues and go about other little issues that add no value to the substantive issue we're talking about. And I tell you, if you're watching me and you're a man, you have a daughter. One day she'll grow up to aspire. What would you do? You don't want your daughter to be the best? Or if she seeks love outside the shores of Nigeria, then what will you do? You deny her the opportunity of giving her spouse citizenship. But our male colleagues can do that. Automatic citizenship for the women they marry. How unfair. And the funny and ridiculous things. We see a lot of our Nigerian men, these same men who have refused to give citizenship rights to women and indigenship rights to women. You see them, they are the same people that run out of the country going to marry American women, European women, or different kinds of women to gain citizenship. Can you imagine it? Can you imagine if those countries are like Nigeria and deny their women the right to confer citizenship on their husbands? Now you go out to enjoy what you deny your own women in Nigeria. It's so shameful. It's really very shameful. We need to cover our face in shame. In this century, we're still talking about conferring rights of citizenship and indigenship on women. It is really very shameful. It is very shameful. Most African countries have moved beyond 35% affirmative action. We call ourselves the giant of Africa. What do we have to show for it? What do we have to show for it? As of yesterday, some people were getting diesel for 500 naira. We're buying fuel for over 200 naira. Some places, they don't even have fuel. Abuja, come and see the long queues. No fuel. We really, really need to speak truth to power. We really need to speak truth to power. This is so sad. This is not the time for us to sit at home. Listen, my Nigerian women, this tonight's show is for you. I hope that you get inspired enough to take action. I know we will say our voices don't matter, our votes don't count. I hear this day in and day out. Do you think I don't get disillusioned sometimes? I do. But I'm not willing to sit back and do nothing. I'm willing to take that chance to keep pushing and to keep speaking out, believing that one day that voice will make a difference. 2023 is round the corner. Some of us will sell our votes because we feel it doesn't count. And I ask you, if your votes don't count, why do they buy your votes for patronage sums of 500 naira, 1,000 naira, one pack of Maggi? And you keep saying your votes do not count. Poverty is a deliberate strategy to keep us down, to make us neglect our rights, and to keep us silenced. And until the day we, the masses, we, the people of Nigeria, we, the women of Nigeria, decide that we want to use our voice. In every community and in every nation, the voice is the most powerful tool that you have. And that is why oftentimes there is a struggle to silence you, to take away your voice, to silence your voice. Doesn't that tell you how important your voice is? If you're just joining this show, I say a very big welcome to you. Welcome to Friday Night Hangout. Tonight, we're talking about breaking the bias. We're looking specifically at the gender bias, and we're looking at the 5-point agenda demand of Nigerian women to the National Assembly. And I said at the beginning of the show that we are so totally disappointed at the National Assembly at what they just did. I can't believe it. The show of shame at the National Assembly, where they could not pass they couldn't pass any single bill in favor of women. Their mothers, their daughters, their sisters, doesn't matter. They spoke loud and clear to say, Nigerian women, we don't need you, you don't matter. And I want to tell us that elections is round the corner. They cannot win an election without you. And that's the truth. Until we understand the power of our voice, until we understand the power that we wield as women, we will continue to be subjugated. No, they cannot win the election without you and I. Now that we have the assent to the amendment to electoral bill, now that we are going to be having electronic transmission, we need to work together as a group. We need to work together. We need to unite. If you're not in any group, join one woman group or the other. We need to make sure our voices are heard loud and clear in 2023. All of them that came together to vote no against women's rights, we need to take them out one by one. We can do it if we decide to do it. We can and we will. But most importantly tonight, I'm sharing this so that we can all get aware and we pass on the message. One of the key things in building a collective movement is by building awareness and consciousness. So tonight, I hope that you really get angry in your spirit to see a change. I don't know about you, but I'm tired of the status quo. I'm tired of the status quo. It is sad. It is annoying. You've all said it in the chat box. We need to speak truth to power. Onyebara Chizoba says our politicians use hunger and intimidation strategy to suppress women. I said that, that's it. And once we recognize this and we're very deliberate about it, we can surmount any challenges they bring our way. I don't want to hear that story that our voices do not count. I know it has been difficult. But if we give up, they're going to have a reign. Everyone will do what they want to do. And at the end of the day, you and I will feel the impact. Shebi, now we're buying diesel for 500, fuel for over 200 naira. Did anybody consult you before they made those increases? So why would you decide to sit down and take it? Even look at the Ukraine-Russia conflict ongoing. Some of us will say, it doesn't concern me. What's my business? Is it not Ukraine? Is it not Russia? It's for those people that travel abroad to Russia or Ukraine to study. My dear, it concerns you and I. Ukraine and Russia supply wheat to the rest of the world. Wheat is used in making bread and other things. So very soon you start buying bread very expensive. That's why you need to get informed. You need to get informed. By the time you start buying bread very expensive, you cannot buy bread again. You know that Ukraine and Russia conflict concerns you, and you take an interest. So listen, where you have intimidation in any part of the country, you have intimidation everywhere. Where you have intimidation in any part of the world, you have it everywhere. Because we are all interconnected. We are connected. No one lives in isolation. The COVID-19 pandemic, if nothing else, taught us about that, showed us how connected we are. Can you imagine a virus that started all the way in China, and before long, the whole world shut down for months because of a virus that started in China? It started spreading, and spread around the whole world. And the whole world came to a standstill. So I ask you again, look around you. What kind of bias is happening? And how can you lend your voice to the struggle? Do not say that you are not involved, you are not concerned. My dear sister, my dear friend, my dear colleague, we are all involved, whether we like it or not. This is one issue I'm so passionate about. And I feel so sad because the NAS dealt us a horrible blow in the Women's Month, few days to International Women's Day, where we should have been celebrating and counting the achievements we have made. This National Assembly decided to put itself down in the book of records of denying Nigerian women their rights. We're all affected. Yes, Chizoba, we're all affected. So understand the issues. Some of us are in Nigeria, we don't understand the issues. You do not know that you cannot confess citizenship on your foreign husband. You do not know that we have internship issues. How many states have up to 10 or 15% appointments, women appointments for where? Look at the committees. Just see that. Can't you ask yourself, why is it that from the public space they have intentionally excluded women? Why? Even when women have proven themselves to be effective, to be highly resourceful, yet they have deliberately excluded us. Some people will say that we belong to the kitchen or we belong to the other room. And who says we cannot belong to all the rooms? Who says that we cannot belong to all the rooms? We have capacity. We really have a lot of capacity. Look at the achievements of Nigerian women. Can we start counting them? When it comes to women, they raise the bar so high. What they are willing to forgive in themselves, they're not willing to forgive. Say, oh, women, and they start, oh, women quarrel. Women do not like themselves. My dear sister, if you're among those that say women do not like themselves, please come out from that space. Women love themselves. I have rode on the wings of a lot of women. Who told you men do not hate themselves? Men hate themselves as well, and they quarrel a lot. How many times have you seen them in National Assembly carrying chairs to hit themselves, fighting like little children? Yet, that narrative, they keep spinning that narrative. Women do not like themselves. Women like to pull themselves down. What about men? They pull themselves down. They fight themselves. They kill themselves. Yet, women do not carry that story. We do not see that. We do not talk about it. We keep talking about how women do not like themselves, how women like to put themselves down. We keep saying that, we keep reenacting that narrative. Everybody that stands up, what I want to say is that women do not like the, oh, please don't tell me that story again. Women love themselves. We love ourselves. It doesn't mean that we will not have one or two or some of us that have issues. It is normal. You cannot like everybody. Just the same way with men. They have issues amongst themselves. So why don't they say men do not love themselves? Who told you men love themselves better than we love ourselves? Who told you that men love themselves better than we love ourselves? Let me give you just a very simple example. See how women rally round. I remember growing up in Lagos in those days. And sometimes you'll be walking on the street. I remember several times I'm walking on the streets of Lagos, maybe going to my home or coming back from the market as a young girl then. You will see that a woman, maybe she's trying to get to the hospital and she goes into labor there. Very quickly, all the women around will just remove their wrapper and form a wall around her. And they will help her to birth the baby. Who told you? What kind of love beats that? They don't ask where she's from. They don't ask who she is. They don't want to know what class she belongs to. All they do know is that they see a woman in distress and they need to help her. They need to birth that baby. What manner of love how can you qualify that love? Yes, it is really a shame that our lawmakers do not have respect for human rights. A very big shame. And we need to boo them. We need to call them by their names and shame them one by one. That is the next step. We will call them names one by one. All those that voted no. We will call them out one by one and boo them and shame them. It's really so shameful. So please, you have a responsibility of breaking that bias, even from your awareness, from what you say, the narrative you spin. Watch what you say. So when you keep saying women don't love themselves, women, who told you women don't love themselves? Because you have an issue with your friend or your sister, it turns that women don't love themselves. So let's be very mindful. Let's really, really be very mindful about the narratives that we share all around. I'm so proud to be a woman. I am proud to be a Nigerian woman. And I do not wish to be a man at all. I am a woman and more. Why be fair? We need to rise up. This is our month. March is our month. It's a month when we review all that's been happening around us and look at the actions we can take. So now, what are some of the concrete actions? I've mentioned a number of steps we can take, a number of actions we can take in this Women's Month. So what are some of the actions we can really take to bring the gender bias? One, let us get informed. Let us get informed. Let us get informed. Get informed on issues. Get informed. Ask questions. Read. Follow the conversation. Information is power. Follow the information. Know what is happening. Follow the trend. Listen. Get to the facts. Don't spread rumors all around. And this person say, they say, they say. This is not a time for that. Understand what the key issues are. What are women demanding? What are the facts on ground? What is it all about? Sometimes we all get so religious. Some of us get so religious, and then we want to disenfranchise women and say it's not in the Bible. Oh my dear. When Jesus was given birth to by a woman, it shows the value God has, that he trusted a woman to birth Christ. For me, that is the hallmark of the love and the appreciation and the value God placed in a woman. When Christ arose, the first set of humans to see him were women. So let no one tell you anything different. And listen, let's understand what the issues are. No one is asking you to be disrespectful to your husband. Nobody is asking you to disrespect the men. No, that's not what the issue. That is being very petty. If you reduce the conversation to disrespecting men or women, it means that you don't even understand what the key issues are. It's beyond that. What we're saying is, everybody, by virtue of you being a human being, have rights. Whether you're male or female, you have inalienable rights, and those rights should be upheld. Not because you're a woman or because you're a man. So because you're a man, you have a lot of privileges, and you decide to exclude women. And women are struggling. I see my sister struggling to use her voice. Okay, this says, even if women don't like themselves, is it enough reason why women? Oh no, it is not. It's not even a basis. There is nothing. And that's why I said human rights are inalienable rights. There are no reason, no justification, nothing at all can be reasonable enough to disqualify someone or deny them of their rights. Not at all. But what I was talking about is that we need to even stop that narrative, spinning that narrative. Because when you keep saying that narrative, we, the women, begin to believe it. and we begin to act it, because words and thoughts are very powerful. So nothing at all is a basis for excluding women. Women's rights are human rights, and human rights are inalienable rights. They're inherent in us as a reason or by virtue of us being human beings, and it's not upon anyone to take it away from us. Remember, I talked about getting informed. The second thing you can do, very concrete action you can do in this month, is to join in the conversation and actions. Find out what is happening. Right now, the conversation in this International Women's Month, especially in Nigeria, is on the 5-point demand of Nigerian women to the NAS. Get informed on what the 5 points are. I've talked about 4 of them here. The fifth one is 111 special seats for women. This is to close the gap in political representation. That's what we're asking of. We need to close the gap. It's a temporary special measure to close the gap, the inequality gap. So, take action. Join the conversation. Don't say what I do not matter. We're having this conversation today, and this is one positive thing, because a lot of people are contributing. You're here. People are going to watch the replay. People get informed. They take the conversation out, and that's what we're talking about. Let's have this conversation. Join in the conversation. Do not exclude yourself from the conversations. You need to speak out. So in this Women's Month, I'm asking you, what concrete action can you take in your space? What concrete action can you take in your space? Okay? Yay! Let me see the comments here. I'm so happy that you're all engaged in this conversation, honestly. I'm so happy that you're engaged in the conversation. We need this conversation to, keep moving, gain momentum. So we're talking about it and we're taking concrete actions. What can we do to make a difference? What can you do in your space? Wherever you are joining in from, what can you do in that space? Okay? This is our month. This is a month where we learn to celebrate ourselves. We need to pat ourselves and say, hey girl, you've done a lot. It's not easy to be a Nigerian and then to be a woman. Oh my goodness, clap for yourself. If you're a woman living in Nigeria, I celebrate you. I celebrate you. Amidst all the exclusions, I celebrate you. I celebrate you. So another action you can take in breaking the bias is by celebrating a woman in your life. How many women in your life do you want to celebrate? It's very important that you put words to action and celebrate these women. Let them know we're riding on the backs of our foremothers, those who have created this opportunity for us. Can you imagine in this century, see how much struggle we're going through? Can you imagine what our mothers, our grandmothers, our great-grandmothers went through? And then imagine now. And they created those spaces for us. See what we enjoyed upon all the challenges. So we just need to speak out. Thank you. Genetica says it's time to speak out and it's time to take action. This is our month. You can attend a program. You can join in some of the walks, in some of the conversation. Get active. Don't exclude yourself. Get active. When we get what we're struggling for, everyone will enjoy the rights. Nobody will say, oh no, you can't. Everybody will enjoy the rights. Can you imagine when you know you're so qualified? You're very qualified and you're simply disqualified because you're a woman. Can you imagine that? And then your counterpart who is male, who doesn't have half your qualification, is chosen over you. In some places, they pay men more than they pay women. Meanwhile, the woman may be the one that has all the knowledge, all the skill set and all that, but they'll pay her less than they pay her male counterpart. That is inequality. These are the things we are talking about. These are the things we are talking about. We need to call it what it is. We cannot keep hiding around the issues. This is what the whole struggle is all about. This is it. To make sure that you and I enjoy our rights. It doesn't depend on whether we're male or female. No, we're human beings, first and foremost. And we need to have an opportunities actually of enjoying our rights as human beings. So we're still talking about breaking the bias. And today we are focused on breaking the gender bias, knowing that in a few days we are going to be celebrating the International Women's Month, which, like I said, is a global celebration where we recognize the achievements of women. And it's also a day to call for accelerated action on gender equality. And when we talk about gender equality, what we've been having conversation on throughout this evening is what it is. Creating, giving room for equal opportunities, inclusive governance, not disenfranchising anyone based on any narrative or any sex. We break all the stereotypes that women belong in the other room or in the kitchen or whatsoever. Who told you that that is what we've been created to do? We're humans and we have a purpose. And our purpose is to contribute to the growth and development of a society. And all we are asking, which is not too much, is to be given that opportunity to do just that. We have the capacity and we have the resources to do that. Mokedi says, we will not relent. We should all join to create awareness on women's rights. Women's rights are human rights. Whoa. Exciting. We're going to take a very short break where I'm excited, super excited to say that the She Speaks Summit registration is finally open. Who is excited? On the team, we keep moving, keep moving, keep moving. That's the team. And for the first time for our 5th-year anniversary, we're taking the program all the way to Las Guinness, Eko, Lagos State, Nigeria. Eko Nibajeo. That's where we're going to this year. June 24th and 25th, we're going to be in Lagos, Nigeria. And the summit, She Speaks, is very timely at a time like this. She speaks to make a difference. She speaks to create impact. She speaks to inspire nations. Won't you want to be in the summit in Lagos? Early bird registration is on, and you can get more information by going to www.joyonyeso.com/She Speaks 2022 to get your registration on. So early bird registration is on, and I invite you to please go on there and get registered. Honestly, trust me, this program is so structured. For day one, we are going to be looking at personal development areas. Day two, we're going to be looking at business growth and development. Oh my goodness, you don't want to miss She Speaks Summit for 2022. It's a summit that you would want to participate in. So please go to www.joyonyeso.com/She Speaks Summit 2022 and get registered. Okay. We're going to be wrapping up the show shortly. Just a sec. Okay. Let's see. Oh, yeah. So, I love the feedback. I love the feedback in the comment section. It shows that we're all very... Are you interested in understanding the basics of business development? Or are you interested in honing your skills in workplace conflict management and conflict resolution? Or you want to understand the power of strategic vision and thinking and how to build an effective team to help you to achieve your organization's goal? I am Joy Onyeso, and I invite you to join me at the 5th edition of the She Speaks Summit happening in Lagos, and the theme is Keep Moving. This summit is for entrepreneurs, coaches, professionals, leaders, authors, trainers, and individuals who want to create an impact while building a legacy. The early bird registration is on, and you can use the details on your screen to register. See you in Lagos. Hey, welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. I saw it coming from Mama Elder. She says, I wonder how they felt after taking such decision, indirectly deriding the female folk in their lives. Honestly, I don't even know how they slept. I don't know how their wives received them. I don't know how their daughters welcomed them back home. Honestly, I don't know. I do not know. It is so shameful. Really very shameful. Because what they did by their action is clearly telling Nigerian women that we do not matter. That we are not part of this country and we do not matter. That was what they said in very clear terms. So it's very shameful. It's very sad that at a time like this, we're still struggling to allow women to enjoy their rights. Oh my goodness, it's so shameful. So many other smaller African countries have got. So don't tell me it's a cultural thing again, because in Africa we almost have the same patriarchal culture. If Ghana can override it, if Senegal can, if Rwanda can, if Uganda can, what are we waiting for? We call ourselves giant of Africa. What kind of a giant that eats up his women? That's not a giant. So we can't be a giant when we are not giants in anything. We are just it's just I don't even know the language or the word to use to qualify. It's just simply so shameful. At a time like this, we're still talking about allowing women. Oh my goodness, it's so shameful. Really very shameful. Very very shameful. And all the men that did this and took those decisions and voted against it. I just wonder. I really do wonder. I really, really do wonder how they would sleep at night knowing what they did. Okay. We're about to wrapping up. It's been a pleasure having this conversation with us. And I just want to take this time out to say thank you so much for participating. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for making this conversation very interesting, very energetic, very lively. I do not take your participation for granted at all. I deeply appreciate you. Thank you for tuning in every Friday, 7 p.m. to join in the conversation. I encourage you not to drop out. Yay! Don't drop out. Keep on showing up. This month of March, we're going to have amazing conversation. And I'm going to bring on both two amazing women. I'm not going to tell you the names yet. You're going to be wowed by the level of articulation, the experience. They would inspire you to take action. Remember that this is our month, International Women's Month, and we're looking at breaking the bias. Tonight, we had conversation on the gender bias. We looked at the difference between gender and sex. We talked about the 5-point demand of Nigerian women to the NAS, and we looked at ways we can get involved, ways we can um, raise our voice. And I encourage us not to be left behind. This is our struggle. It's for you and I. We all have a role to play. Everyone is important. Everyone needs to have a say. Your voice is very important. Do not allow anyone to tell you anything different. Your voice is so important in this struggle. We cannot do it without you. This is our collective battle. It's a win for all. When we win together. When we fall together. So let's keep holding our hands and rising up. And I'll ask you tonight, one of the very concrete things you can do is to look around you and celebrate the women in your life. The women who have impacted in your life, who have held your hands. This is our month. This is the month where we celebrate ourselves and our achievements. And this is also the month where we call for action on closing the gender inequality. This is when we call for action, where we raise awareness on the issues, and when we use our voice to make a difference. You know, when your brother Chisba says, "Thank you, Ma, for educating us. I always get value tuning in every Friday. I love this show." Oh, thank you so much, Chizoba. I always love to hear when people say they get value and they love the show, because that's why we're here. to actually give value. And please do share this video, share with your friends, and share with the women in your life, because tonight we really talked about women issues and the 5 point demand of Nigerian women. And every woman, every Nigerian woman, irrespective of where they are, needs to know and understand what our 5 point demands are. What are we demanding from the nurse and from Nigerians? We have 5 points demand, so that you can just say it. It's so simple. These are everyday life. It's not rocket science. These are things that affect our everyday life, and we need to get involved. And we'll say nothing about me without me. Nothing about me without me. If you need to discuss my well-being, I need to be involved. That's all we're simply saying. If you need to discuss things that you feel is for my well-being, get me involved in the conversation. Let me tell you what I really want. Let me tell you what will work for me. And that's all Nigerian women are saying. That we do not want to be left behind again. Nothing about us should be without us. We want to be at the table where those decisions are being made. And that is not too much to ask. We're not asking for too much at all. We're not asking for too much at all. And Jideka says, "Thank you so much, ma'am. No man can make me regret being a woman. Women go through a lot, not only in the society, but also in our homes." Very true. We're going to have a conversation this month about some of the issues we go through in our homes. Because women are going through a lot, and some of us don't have a safe space where we can vent, where we can really unpack. Some of us have gone to the wrong shoulders to cry, and we've been burnt and we've been betrayed. But I want to tell you not to give up hope. Please keep pushing on. And remember, nothing about you without you. Nothing about you without you. That is what Nigerian women are asking. That nothing about us in Nigeria should be without us. So if there are decisions to be made about us, we need to be there. We need to have our representatives on this, in that space, pushing our agenda, which of course is the agenda of, you know, one beautiful thing about women, just look at homes. Most women will push for the agenda we are pushing for is what is going to benefit everybody, men, women, youth, everyone. It's not just all about women. So nothing about us without us. In this month of March, I want you to be very deliberate about your actions, about your conversations. I want you to feel proud to be a Nigerian woman and to be committed to taking action. Join a group where you discuss uplifting and inspiring things. Join the conversations. Take action. Don't be left behind. Nothing about you without you. Nothing about me without me. That should be our slogan. And we need to say it loud and clear. Nothing about us in Nigeria without us. We need to be at the center where these conversations happen. On this note, I want to say thank you very much. Thank you so much. Even Okore says more grace, ma. Thank you. Stella says, God bless you, your amen, and bless you too. Chizoba says, yes, nothing about me without me. That's the spirit. But Anadinike says, that is the spirit, not being left behind. We have to speak out for this. Yes. Speak out. Speak out and speak out. Do not be left behind. Do not be left behind. On this note, I want to say very big thank you to my team who made this possible, those working behind the scene, those who helped put all this together. Thank you, Amara. Thank you, Favor. Thank you, Adeze. Thank you, Ihechi. Thank you, Uche, for always coming through. God bless and keep you. And for you, my amazing audience and tribe, thank you so much. I do not take your turning up for granted at all. Always turning up every Friday, 7 p.m. Keep making it a date with us. And if there are topics you want us to discuss, please put it in the chat box, or you know how to reach us. You can simply go to our website, www.joyonyesu.com, and use the message button and send me a message. I really always look forward to hearing from you. I really always look forward to hearing from you. Or you can go to my business page and drop me an e-message, and I will definitely respond to you. I love you all until I see you next week, Friday. I say to you, keep speaking out, keep being motivated. Remember, nothing about you without you. Leave no woman behind. I love you all, and I'll see you next week, Friday, same time. Bye for now. And remember to enjoy your weekend. Celebrate yourself. Really celebrate yourself, okay? Bye, 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 bye for now. See you. See you all. Have a pleasant weekend. I love you. Appreciate you. Bye.